Hello. So here we are continuing our journey with Joseph. Last week we just had 4 verses, which paints the picture a little bit of the family situation that we find Joseph in as a young man. Today we're going to continue straight off from that situation and we're going to look at Genesis 37, verses 5 to 11, which says this. So Joseph had a dream, and when he told it to his brothers, they hated him all the more. He said to them, "Listen to this dream I had. We were binding sheaves of grain out in the field when suddenly my sheaf rose and stood upright, while your sheaves gathered around mine and bowed down to it." His brothers said to him, "Do you intend to reign over us? Will you actually rule us?" And they hated him all the more because of his dream and what he had said. Then he had another dream, and he told it to his brothers. "Listen," he said, "I had another dream, and this time the sun and the moon and the 11 stars were bowing down to me." When he told his father as well, as his brothers, his father rebuked him and said, "What is this dream you had? Will your mother and I and your brothers actually come and bow down to the ground before you?" His brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the matter in mind. As I said previously last week, the first 4 verses of Genesis 37 show us just how complicated and broken some of Joseph's family dynamics were. Some of these problems were caused by other people in the family, and some was by Joseph's own lack of self-awareness. Family dysfunction is a hard one to navigate, and it seems young Joseph wasn't doing a great job at navigating this family dysfunction at this point in time. Here we see God speak to Joseph in dreams about what is to come, and those dreams do come to pass. They are prophetic dreams that reveal a pathway that is to come for Joseph and his family. The dreams show Joseph being elevated over that of his brothers and his family, and them even bowing down to him. We aren't told why God decides to give young Joseph these dreams. Maybe it was part of his development as someone who could hear God. But why young Joseph was given these dreams at this point, we aren't really told, other than when we come to the end of Joseph's story, we see that God was at work the whole time, and these dreams are part of that testimony at the end. But whilst these dreams are both true and they are of God, what Joseph does with them doesn't help his family and those around him. We already know that Joseph's brothers couldn't say a kind word to him because of the fact that their father not only loved Joseph more, but their father lived in a way to display that favoritism for all to see. Already, these brothers would have been feeling inferior to Joseph because of the favor of their father to him. And to make it worse, Joseph elevates himself by going above his position and his station in the family, by going straight to his father with a bad work report, as we read last week. Another example of Joseph elevating himself at this point in time. And whether it's intentional or not on Joseph's part, this was how it was received and seen by the brothers. Another example in their eyes of Joseph being better, or Joseph being greater, or Joseph being more than any of them. And this bred bitterness, it bred anger, it bred hate and hurt. And it genuinely seems, when I look at this, that Joseph was unaware of all of it. And then, in the midst of this already hostile environment, Joseph pipes up that he's had these dreams, where his brothers and family all bow down to him, metaphorically. And you can read from the brothers' response that they are far from pleased about hearing Joseph share this. Even their father, who did favour Joseph above all others, seemed to react in a way that didn't seem to like how Joseph had shared these dreams. To the brothers, this was just more ammunition to hate Joseph with. Their father at least held on to these dreams and didn't dismiss them, but he did rebuke Joseph for them. Maybe their father could see just how much of a division was being made in this family. Maybe he was seeing just how great a wedge was being driven between Joseph and his brothers. Maybe. How aware are you? How self-aware are you? One of the commands of Christ is that we love others as we love ourselves, and we put others first. One of the things Jesus was known for, and in turn we should be known for, is for his compassion, which is triggered by what? By how Jesus sees others, his awareness of others. And one thing seems really clear from young Joseph's life. He was not aware of what his brothers thought about him, and he was not aware of what his own words were doing to them in this situation. I mean, it's not as if his brothers were hiding their hatred towards him. We're told in verse 4 that his brothers couldn't speak a kind word to him. They openly disliked Joseph to his face. And yet Joseph either seems to be A, unaware, which is pretty bad, or B, uncaring, and he just carries on, which I think is even worse. To love people like Christ, I think we must be aware of others, but also aware of ourselves. Are we really helping and loving, or are we just making it worse? Are you speaking to someone who completely trusts you, or are you speaking to someone who is suspicious of you? Now, this doesn't change God's truth, but it should change how we relate to others. People who I'm closer to, I'm often sharper and blunter with the truth. Why? Because I have the awareness to know that my relationship with those people, because we're so close, is strong enough to be this way with them, and they would know that we're having this hard and difficult conversation because of the love and the great bond that we have. There are many other people in my life that I would speak to about the same things, but in a less blunt way, in a less sharp way. Why? Because I'm aware enough to know that with other people, my relationship isn't necessarily strong enough for the love of Christ to be seen in those words. And so, whilst the truth of God never changes in what I say to people, how I say it does change. Why? Because I have to use my self-awareness. Because I want whoever is in front of me to know how loved and cared for. And I want to communicate God's truth to them that will make a difference in how they receive and hear the love of God. Please hear me. I'm not saying we change God's truth. What I am saying is that we need the self-awareness of Christ to know how to share the truth of God, so that the person in front of us hears the truth and the love of God, not just my stuff. Young Joseph, in my opinion, did not display that wisdom or self-awareness, and it led to more misery, it led to more hurt, it led to more anger, and it led to more brokenness with the people that he's loved in his life. Do we want to be someone who brings people together with love and with the love and the truth of God, or do we want to be people that are responsible for driving others apart? I see Jesus giving us all a ministry of reconciliation. But for me, reconciliation starts here with self-awareness. How self-aware are we for his love and for his kingdom?